Hello and welcome to Life in Six Strings. Look who is with me. It's Caggiano from Volbeat. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad actually. Not too bad. So you still in New York?
Still in New York. Yeah, haven't really obviously I'm sure you know we had it really bad with this whole lockdown thing, and we're doing pretty good right now. I mean, everything's kind of opening up, but still haven't really been traveling at all, because that's still, I think, a little bit weird here in the States. Even though people are doing it, I'm just I'm hanging low, just waiting for it to get a little bit better. So I'm still here.
Yeah, which is hopefully soon. I guess, yeah, I don't feel like getting on a plane right now. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
No, and anyway, so here we are. Look what I've got. So the Jackson Shadowcaster, which is your signature guitar, and it's an absolute beast. I'm in love with it. It's amazing. So congratulations.
Thank you. I'm glad you like it. I love it as well.
You've got the fancier version because yours is the custom one.
This one just has the fade from black to purple. I think let me see yours.
Mine's all purple.
Yep, you got the straight purple. That's also, that's an amazing color. I love it.
Yeah, I love it. Honestly, it's like I got it out the box, and normally I play a Strat, and I got it out, and it just felt amazing, like really comfortable to hold. It just sat perfectly. It was just a dream. And I'm not just saying that because you're here. Awesome. I said it to you, didn't I? I messaged you after, and I was like, oh my God, your guitar is incredible. But so let's start, I guess. Like, how did it all come about? Because you're not normally with Jackson, are you? You weren't with Jackson in the past.
Well, the crazy thing with this is back, way back in the day when I was way younger. I'm trying to remember exactly what year it was, but I basically had a guitar called the Jackson Outcaster, which is it's a weird guitar that they put out. I think it was only out for a year. It was a quirky.
It was in the mid '90s, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was in the mid '90s. I was working at a music store at the time, and I ended up we got one of those in, and I was looking at it on the wall. I'm like, you know what? I need that guitar. So I ended up working for that, and instead of getting a paycheck, I took the guitar home. And I fell in love with it. It just looked really cool, and it was a quirky guitar. It wasn't an expensive guitar either. It was kind of it had a weird bridge that was really hard to intonate, so it was very hard to get it in tune. It was like a wraparound bridge. I don't know what you call those. I think you might just call it a wraparound bridge.
Yeah.
And it had a humbucker here, and it actually had a lipstick pickup in the neck position, which was cool. Definitely had a unique sound, but it wasn't like a Cadillac. It was just kind of an awesome looking guitar. It was really balanced. The neck I wasn't totally in love with, but it ended up becoming my main guitar for a few years. And I did a lot of shows with it, actually, back in the day. So anyway, the whole concept with this guitar was to try to recreate some of the magic of that old original guitar. But obviously we raised the bar, big time with everything, with the neck, wood, with literally everything, with the contours. I mean, literally the only thing that's the same between this and the old guitars is the shape.
Yeah. Apart from, but this is cut out at the back, isn't it? Which the other one wasn't. Why did you cut it out?
Exactly. You know your stuff. Yeah, the other one was not cut out. It's just more comfortable. It's more comfortable. It is,
yeah. I think you're right. It's what gives it that kind of, it sits around your body perfectly. I love it. Yeah. It's part of you.
Yeah, it's just really, really comfortable. Without the cuts, it just, especially this angle here, when you're putting your arm in there, kind of digs into the forearm a bit. So yeah, I like it better with the angles. And we spent a lot of time working on the neck, getting the neck to be the right shape and just the right feel. And yeah, I think we ended up with something that is absolutely perfect, in my opinion.
I agree with you totally. And you've got your signature pickups on here, the humbuckers, haven't you? The Dimarzio, is it?
Yes, these are Dimarzio. Right now, it's just called the RC Custom, I guess. But we're going to be releasing this signature pickup very soon. Actually, just spoke to Larry the other day. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. I've been using this pickup for a few years now. We spent probably about 8 months, working on this. There's a guy named Steve Blucher who does all the designing and stuff for Dimarzio pickups, and he's a wizard. So yeah, I mean, you kind of just explain to him, because I'm, as far as technical terms and how to wind a pickup, I have no idea, but I know what I like it to sound like. And the thing is, I've been using a stock Dimarzio pickup called the Tone Zone for years. That was like my workhorse pickup because it's just a really amazing all-around pickup for rhythm, for lead. It's just really balanced. So we kind of use that as a starting point, and then again, we just raised the bar and just made it even better. And I'm super stoked on this pickup. It records really well, sounds great live. I love it. They make
well, and so it was just the pickups alone, which took like 8 months.
Well, just I was on tour at the time, so it was kind of like
so it was in and out. Yeah.
Yeah, this was a while ago. This was when it was an Anthrax tour. I think it was Anthrax and Damn Things. We were doing stuff like all over the place back then, and Steve would be sending me pickups to try, like prototype pickups, and I would just pop them in the guitar and just play them shows, and which was awesome. That's like the best way to test a pickup and put it through the paces. So that's what I did. And finally ended up with something that.
So how long did the guitar take in general to like the whole from start to finish?
That was also a process that took about a year, I'd say, maybe a little.
Not bad. It's not bad. And so you're super happy with it when you've been playing it live and stuff?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I recorded the whole last Volbeat record, actually, because the guitar wasn't totally done yet. This was the first prototype, and it's obviously.
Oh, right. Oh my God, that's so cool. That looks completely different. So hang on, the color and everything is completely different. Is that what you're going to have it like that?
No. This is just a prototype. I guess it was just easier to bang this color out than the purple fade.
Got you.
So they just did that color for me just for this prototype. But the guitar is awesome. I love it. And I ended up doing the whole Volbeat record with this guitar.
Oh, okay, cool.
So this purple one is basically a slightly more refined version of that guitar. That's really all it is.
Okay, I see. So how can I make this baby sing then?
I don't know.
You need some more years under your belt.
I want to hear you play. What do you? I mean, I've heard you playing guitar, but I haven't actually.
When have you heard me play guitar?
I heard that you were playing guitar, but I actually.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, you know the story, yeah. So I've always wanted to play, but never had the time. And obviously, when everything shut down, lockdown happened, I was like, well, now's the time,
Perfect time, right?
I've got lots of time on my hands. So I started playing. When would that have been? April.
Right.
So I'm still a baby. I'm still a baby in that sense. So yeah, I don't know. Actually, Adrian Vandenberg taught me this a couple of weeks ago. See if you recognize it. See if you can name that tune.
Awesome.
You don't know what it is, do you?
I know the song, but it's off the top of my head, I can't remember the name. Of course, I know that song.
Gloria.
Of course.
Patti Smith or Van Morrison band, whatever one you want. But yeah. Anyway, so okay. So can you show me something?
Yeah. So basically, you've just been working with like open chords, I guess, right?
Yeah. Did you show me your there's a song of yours which I love. The riff is amazing at the beginning. Is it Leviathan? What is it called?
Leviathan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll show you that in 1 second. Let me just tune this thing up. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do Leviathan. I'm going to go to this guitar because it's tuned differently.
Because it's tuned.
This is tuned to what the record is, I guess, which is basically standard tuning. All right, so yeah, Leviathan.
Okay, Leviathan.
So you're going to take the bottom string.
Yeah.
Let me hear your bottom string.
Hang on, I have to think about this because it's the wrong way around, isn't it? That feels like the bottom, but actually that's the top, isn't it? So that's the bottom string, yeah? The sixth string.
So the riff is... Let me lower this so you can see the guitar. That's the main riff. That's the one you want to learn?
No, it was something like this. Hang on.
Let's hear it.
So I'm just trying to think.
I think you're probably talking about the very, very, very intro riff.
Yes!
That riff?
Yes, that's it.
Okay, so yeah, that does start with the power chord. I think we were talking about the main riff when the song actually kicked in.
No, sorry. Okay, so what does that start with then?
So that's on the ninth fret. It's basically a C sharp power chord.
Okay.
Yeah. So then you go. So you hit the chord twice. Then you go to the seventh. You do one of those things.
Yeah. Where do I go back to? The seventh fret.
Yeah, so seventh fret on the E string.
Yeah.
Then it's back to the ninth fret, and then the seventh fret on the fifth string, the A string.
Okay, cool, got it. But
yeah, you're doing the riff, then you're coming back to the chord. So, and then you chug on that. Let me just lower the effects a little bit on this. Yeah, that's it.
something like that.
Rock and roll, yeah.
Okay, I need to practice that a bit more.
That's it.
Let's hear you play it. I think it's better if you play it.
Well, I mean, that's basically it. It's a fairly simple riff, and then that leads into the main riff of the song. Yeah, basically it.
That is such a killer riff. I love it. That's cool. You must miss playing live right now.
Yes. Yeah, I think every musician out there is kind of, very frustrated right now. But it's also, like we were talking about earlier, it's a really good time to be creative and practice. Do things you normally wouldn't have time to do. So
yeah,
it's been really good. But of course, we miss playing live. Absolutely.
So what are you doing to be creative right now?
Just been writing a lot of music, getting a lot of ideas out there, working with some different people. I love collaborating and doing stuff like that. So been doing a lot of that. Yeah, I mean, we're just going back and forth with files and stuff like that, and just that guy's working on this thing, I'm working on this thing, and we put it all together, and that kind of stuff. It's been really cool. It's been a lot of fun so far.
And so as far as Volbeat is concerned, so you guys are right, because I think last time I spoke to you, you said that you were writing, they were writing something. So are you doing stuff with them, or?
Well, they've been writing a bunch of songs. They have a bunch of ideas already.
Yeah.
are really good, and we're going to be just going back and forth and stuff, for the next I guess however many months. But yeah, there will be new material.
Okay, that's exciting. And then obviously there's the producing, you produce as well. So are you producing anyone new? Because I know that you've always got your finger on the pulse when it comes to new artists.
Yes, there's a pop artist. His name's Grant Dawson. I don't even know if you want to call him a pop artist. He's kind of like I guess it's alternative, which I guess means a lot of different things right now. But yeah, he's just an amazing singer. So we signed him up, and we're going to be working on his record, very soon. So it's definitely something that's in the pipeline.
But where are you doing most of this stuff then? Because you're normally in LA doing all of this, aren't you?
I'm usually all over the place. I'm always on tour, so I do a lot of stuff on the go, and I'm really used to working like. But yeah, I mean, for the last few months, I've obviously been stuck in New York and doing a lot of stuff here. But that guy Grant lives in Delaware, so I'm going to be going out to Delaware very soon. Let's see what else. There's a band called Like Machines that's in Atlanta, Georgia, that I started. Really great band. I started working with them right before this lockdown. So talked to them the other day. At some point, I'm going to have to go down there and finish that. I'm really excited about that too. Great band, great rock band.
So how do you find, like, as being a guitarist, how do you find producing other guitarists?
Yeah, I don't really think about it like that. For me, it's, making a record is making a record, and every band has their own thing. And, it's, every band has a guitar player. Well, every rock band has a guitar player, I guess. Well, I actually.
Yeah, they do.
Not even true. What am I saying? But most of the bands I work with have a guitar player, and, they all have their own thing. They all have their own unique approach to the instrument and the way they write, and, making riffs and different things. So, it's important to let them do their thing. And just for me, it's all about, as far as that goes, it's all about capturing, great performances and pushing people to be better and to outdo themselves. You know what I mean? That's like the name of the game for me.
So you're not, you don't take the Mutt Lang approach to producing.
I do, actually.
Do you? Well, when the band goes home to bed at the end of the night, they come in the next day, and you've basically made the whole album, played every instrument on it, and written all the songs.
Well, I mean, no, I don't do that. What I meant by that is he's an over the top perfectionist, and I am as well. So, he doesn't settle for anything. Just from what I've never met him, just from the stories I've heard.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite producers. I mean, Back in Black, and even Def Leppard's Pyromania. What an amazing record. Just the production.
Oh, he completely changed their sound. He took them to the next level for sure.
He changed music. He changed rock music.
And country music. Shania Twain, of course.
Absolutely. But yeah, so in that sense, I don't like to settle for anything ever. It drives me nuts. I don't like settling. If someone could play it better, if something can sound better, I'm definitely willing to put the time in to make that happen. You know what I mean? That's, for me, it's very important.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Well, your name's going to be on it at the end of the day, isn't it? Okay, I can see these questions coming in now. So Rancid said, would this be a good time to try and blag Volbeat AAA passes for download 2021? Yeah. Okay. Haltom says, hi Rob, 2 humbuckers, 5-way switch, coil switch, or popularity change in 2 extra positions. Do you know what he's talking about? I don't.
Polarity change. The interesting thing is, well, let me get the other guitar. I mean, 99.9% of the time, I'm only using the bridge pickup.
Yeah.
Especially live. I never switch it live, ever. In the studio, I'll tinker around with this. And, also another thing too, I don't know if you can see this, but my neck pickup, I have it totally sunken in because I never use it. I don't use it live. And what ends up happening to me is when I'm playing really hard, the string can get caught under the lip of the pickup.
Oh, right.
That's a friggin' nightmare. It used to happen all the time until I started doing this. And it's the kind of thing where during a show, when it's high energy and everything is crazy, you don't really feel it. It's hard to notice, but as you're playing, it sounds like I can't even explain it. It just sounds like a weird chicken noise or something.
Not very rock and roll.
Yeah, it's something that it sometimes takes me a half a song to figure out. Oh, wow, how the hell did that happen? You know what I mean? So it used to happen a lot back in the Anthrax days, but I started sinking that pickup down, and it doesn't happen at all anymore. So long story short, I think all this does is split the coils. I think actually this guitar might be wired where the polarity switches, but on this guitar, I think it's just splitting the coils. You know what I mean? Right. So it's pretty straight ahead.
And then you've got it's bolted in the back as well, because you used to warp and stuff, didn't it, when you were playing?
This is an important thing. So throughout my entire career, I've had an issue with the neck shifting in the neck joint here. I don't ever play neck throughs, so I'm always doing a bolt on because I just think they sound better.
Yeah,
resonate differently for me. It just works for me. So yeah, one of the main things I needed to accomplish with this new guitar was we figured out a way to do this where it literally will never move. So it's these special screws that actually my tech Jerry Carrillo came up with this idea, and it's been working amazingly. Actually, I think because Jackson is part of Fender Guitars, I think they do a similar thing on the Yngwie Malmsteen Strat, if I'm not mistaken.
Has he got the same problem as you then?
Yeah, he had a similar problem apparently. But this totally fixed it completely.
Why does that happen then?
I don't know. I don't really know. It might be, a certain move I do on stage. I mean, I tend to kind of pull the neck in certain ways sometimes. Also, the weather, wood shrinks and expands with the weather and humidity and stuff.
That's true.
That also has an effect on it. But yeah, it's gone now, so I'm excited about that.
That's great. You just need to get out there and play it, don't you? So Boozy Tortoise says, Rob Marjolin from Shetland says hi. Is that someone you know?
Hello.
Oh my God. They're all talking about this now. I don't know what that means. Okay. And now they're talking in Spanish, I think, so I'll have to wait for that one. Okay, cool. And you've got Ernie Ball Slinky strings on there as well. Is that right? Is that what you have on your?
I do. I've been using Slinkies now for I guess about 2 years, and yeah, they're great. There's something about the tension. Well, obviously that's why they're called Slinky. They're very slinky.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I love them. They seem to stay in tune really well, and they're very reliable. But yeah, it's interesting. I never would have thought, from different string manufacturers, like the tension would actually be that different and that noticeable. Because I never used Slinkies before up until 2 years ago.
So the guitar actually comes with the Slinkies, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. So I've got a question here. Does I love reading these names because I can never read them. Logros Weaver says, does Rob take his guitars out to let them breathe? Do you let your guitars breathe?
Let my guitars breathe?
Yeah. Is that an in-joke? Is that an in-joke? Something I should know?
I don't know what that even means. I mean, is it breathing right now? I don't know.
Yeah, what does that mean? You don't know what that means?
No.
Oh my God. Okay, well, there we go. Logos Weaver, can you maybe elaborate that? Oh, he says before playing on stage. Okay, so I guess he's saying you probably get it out and then practice on it, don't you, a bit before you go live?
I guess he's talking about getting the guitar acclimated to the room and the temperature and all that stuff, I guess is what he's saying. That's a really good question. And yes, absolutely. Um, what I like to do actually is, it's something I just kind of started doing. I like to play the guitar that I actually play on stage in the dressing room.
Okay.
So, you know, I'm just really used to it and stuff. And sometimes it's actually really difficult because the dressing room temperature is completely different than when you're on stage. So it's a bit of a nightmare for my guitar tech, but we've been pretty much on top of that, and it's been working pretty well. Because a lot of times what happens is there's a dressing room guitar and it's set up totally different. And I'm in the dressing room and I'm really like used to the way that thing's playing, and I get on stage and it's a completely different thing.
Yeah. So as a guitarist, what would you say the differences between playing in, you know, Anthrax and Volbeat?
I mean, guitar playing wise, there's probably more guitar in Volbeat. There's just more room for different things and different types of playing. Whereas Anthrax was a you know, it's a certain thing and it's that all the time and it's great. You know, you get the heavy rhythm stuff, you got the lead stuff. At least, you know, that was my role in the band. But with Volbeat, it's a bit different. There's acoustic parts, there's, you know, color parts, there's overdub type parts, there's the leads, there's the heavy rhythm stuff, there's clean sounds, there's all kinds of stuff. So it's definitely, it's a wider palette for sure. Wider musical palette.
I don't think you're going to answer this, but have you got one that you prefer playing more?
Band?
Yeah.
You know,
or maybe style, if you don't want to answer bands. I mean,
the thing is, it's like I do what I do on the guitar, and I have, you know, I guess my way of playing, and I listen to a lot of different music. I'm not just listening to one genre, and you know that about me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I have a lot of different influences, and it definitely comes out of my playing. So whatever musical situation or whatever I'm doing, whether it's a record or a collaboration, a songwriting thing, whatever, it comes out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think, in other words, what I'm saying is with Anthrax, all that stuff was there. It's just I wasn't utilizing it. I wasn't doing it because the music didn't call for it. You know what I mean? So
yeah, so you've got more room in Volbeat to be creative, I guess.
Yeah.
And bring in some of those influences, like you say, because you listen to so many. You're all over the place when it comes to what you're listening to. Like I've listened to jazz with you, or we've listened to you know, Zeppelin or country, or you cross every genre in that sense. So it's good. It's good.
Well, I think genres. I think people get caught up with genres and different things, and you know, especially in the heavy scene. You know, a lot of the younger guys. I'm probably guilty of it as well when I was younger. You know, metal. You know, I got to listen to metal all the time. You know, that kind of mentality. And you know what? You're selling yourself short, and you're missing out on a lot of good music. You know, it's better to listen to everything because there's a lot of good stuff out there.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, a lot of the metalheads that I know, musicians, they don't listen to metal 24/7, not at all. You know, that's a good thing. Okay, I'm getting a question about your strings. Horton says, how thick are your strings?
Well, this guitar, the Shadowcaster, when you buy it, I think it ships with 9 to 46.
Right.
So with Volbeat, when we play live, certain songs are in different tunings. So the songs that are, especially the older material, it's tuned down a whole step from standard. So on those songs, I use 10 to 52s. My entire life, I've been using 10 to 52s. Just started actually recently, last few years, using 9 to 46, and it's only because a lot of the new Volbeat stuff is tuned up to standard pitch. So Anthrax was tuned down a half step from standard, so it was E flat on the bottom. Mm-hmm. When I first joined Volbeat, everything was down a whole step, so it was D on the bottom. And now most of the new stuff is E, but we still have to play a lot of the old stuff. So for the older songs, I have a few guitars set up with the heavier strings, just because the way we have it set up, the way I worked it out with my tech Jerry, is that the tension is basically the same with the way they're set up.
Right.
It's because it would be weird if you know, playing one of the older songs and it had this certain feel, and then jumping to one of the new songs, and it would probably feel really stiff, you know, if I wasn't aware of that, and if we didn't really set up the guitars in that way, you know what I mean? So it's just kind of consistent.
So how many guitars do you have on the road with you? Someone's just asked me that question as well, and that's Mad Salts asked that.
Usually travel with about 7 or 8, I guess.
Okay, that's not too bad. And you're not, you know, you're not like a Joe Bonamassa in the sense that you have a million different guitars. How many do you have?
He's a collector. I'm not a collector. I just play. I mean, I just haven't gotten into that yet. I mean, I love.
I don't know how you haven't got into that. No, I've been playing 6 months and I'm becoming obsessed with it.
I know.
I'm fantasizing about guitars. I go on, like, I'm online now looking up, like, I'm obsessed with Gretsch. I want a Gretsch Penguin. It's so beautiful. And I'm just like looking everywhere and, oh my God, you can get it in this color and that color. They look amazing. Yeah. And they sound good too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have a feeling it's the kind of thing, and that's probably why I stayed away from it. It's the kind of thing, once you start, you can't stop.
Yeah. Like Pringles. Yeah.
But yeah, for me, it's like the guitar is just a tool. You know what I mean?
But is it? But that's the thing. It creates, so there's, you know, every guitar has its own sound. And I guess.
Absolutely.
Don't you sometimes think, oh, if I probably shouldn't ask you this as you're signed to Jackson and you've got your own signature and stuff, but you know, if you had another guitar, I don't know, Les Paul might create a different sound for that track that you know that you're making.
I don't like Les Pauls.
You don't like them?
I like them. They don't work for me. I've owned them before. I've had them in the past. I don't know. It's a certain type of thing, and it just never worked for me. Mainly, actually, because I mean, I think you have a Les Paul somewhere in your room, but the toggle switch for the pickups is right here. So when I'm playing, I'm constantly hitting this thing.
Yeah, the switches are up there. Yeah.
So I learned very early on when the friggin' thing almost went through my hand one day that Les Pauls aren't my thing. But also the body shape doesn't really work for me somehow. It just never felt like balanced when I'm playing it.
I find it harder to play than my Strat.
Yeah.
And then when I got yours, like I said, I was like, oh my God, this is so much easier to play. That is the easiest guitar I've got.
Awesome. Well, an interesting point is there's basically two. How do I explain this? So basically, a Gibson Les Paul is Gibson Scale, and all the Fender stuff is Fender Scale. So my guitar is actually Fender Scale, which is
right.
What
does that mean? What do you mean scale? Oh, as in sight, like shit.
Yeah, I guess like it has to do with the distance, space between the frets.
Okay.
I don't know how to, because I'm not technical like this with setups and stuff like that. You know, it's the kind of thing where if you had two guitars side by side, you'd absolutely feel the difference. You know what I mean? You know, one of the things too, designing this new guitar was such a learning experience for me. There's so much that goes into this that I never even thought about. As a player, I never thought about it.
Like what?
Just, well, for example, that's one of the things we were discussing. Yeah. Figure out, do I want Gibson Scale or Fender Scale? And we made the determination that it was definitely Fender Scale that I preferred. But just literally everything down to what the wood is made of, how it resonates. There's just so much stuff. The nut material.
Well, there is. No, I know. I agree with you. There's the whole thing. Well, with the Peter Green guitar as well, isn't there? With the coil being wound the wrong way, which gave it that sound and stuff.
Right. Yeah. There's always stuff like that. magical accidents.
Yes, exactly. Okay, some more questions. Berenta says, "Don't forget the weight. I love my Les Pauls, but they are heavy beasts. Really feel it in your back after an hour." Yeah, I guess there's that, isn't there? Lots of people end up with bad backs after playing Les Pauls.
I actually have I developed a weird shoulder issue on my left shoulder. I guess they're saying it's because the guitar has been hanging over that shoulder for so many years. But I developed like what they call an impingement. So it's like the bones are kind of putting pressure on the nerve or whatever.
Oh, really?
It's been annoying. Yeah, it's been something I've been working on, doing physical therapy for and stuff like that.
Have you noticed it's got better now you've not been on tour?
Actually, it has gotten better.
Oh, that's a one positive, I guess, about all of this. You can fix your shoulder.
Yeah, it's definitely gotten better. But that's also another thing that I was, aware of when we were making this guitar. It needed to be not so heavy. You know what I mean? If it was the weight of a Les Paul, I couldn't play it. But as it turns out, it's actually perfect weight. It's not too heavy, not too light, and it just sounds killer.
So you went to see Metallica. Should we go? You went to see Metallica recently. Tell me.
Went to the drive-in movie theater experience. As you know, they did a show.
Yeah.
And I've never been to a theater like that before, so I was really excited about it. A friend of mine had an extra ticket, so it was awesome. I didn't know what to expect. The theater was probably about an hour away from here, so we drove out there. Beautiful place. They had an opening band, which I didn't even know. I wasn't even expecting that. But there was a band called 3 Days Grace, started it off, and basically showed them in their rehearsal room. It was cool. The audio sounded great.
And it wasn't like, so it was basically a movie then, was it?
Well, yeah, it was.
They weren't really there, were they?
No, well, I'll explain. So,
okay.
So this band was playing. They were opening up, and it was just them in their rehearsal room. But they had all these like fancy camera angles and all that stuff. It looked great. It looked really cool. But I was in the back of my head thinking, wow, I wonder what Metallica is going to do. Are they going to do the same thing in Metallica headquarters, or we were all curious, like what was, because for me it seemed like if they did that, it would be I don't know. It's almost like everyone would expect more from them. You know what I mean? So anyway, so the first band's done. They roll this like intro Metallica video, and you got the strings playing, I guess, from the new S&M record in the background, and it shows them in their headquarters in the rehearsal room, and shows them like practicing, warming up together. So we were like, okay, so it is going to be in the Metallica headquarters. This thing keeps rolling. They cut now to everyone getting the COVID-19 tests. Like everyone's getting swabs and getting their temperature checked and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden, like on the screen, that they had the Metallica logo, and it switched to, it said Pandemica. It was awesome. Then it cuts to like, I guess like this drone thing. It was way up in the sky, and it's overlooking like this beautiful mountain range, beautiful landscape, huge open field, and it's just kind of hanging there. And we're like, what the hell is going on? Then all of a sudden it drops really quick all the way down to Lars, and they start playing, and they're literally set up outdoors in this amazing location. It was awesome. I got goosebumps. It was so
so they weren't actually there, or they were, as in you saw them live? No, it wasn't live, was it?
No. They were playing live, definitely, but this was, in other words, it wasn't happening in real time. Is that what you're asking?
Yes, exactly.
No, I don't think it was happening in real time. But the thing is, the way they timed it and the way they set it up, on the video, there was a sunset, and we had the same sunset where we were. So it just looked insane, like the screen in the background. It looked amazing. It was great.
Do you think this is the future of live music?
I don't know if it's the future of live music, but I think Metallica did something that's obviously never been done before, especially considering the circumstances and what we're dealing with right now. And I think what they did was absolutely amazing. It was phenomenal. And I think it made a lot of people happy, especially because you know, as we all know, we can't go to real shows like that anymore right now. Until things get better, until there's a vaccine or whatever. So yeah, what they did was really classy and really amazing, and it was great. I loved it. I loved every second of it. And I've seen them live a million times. I've toured with them.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just they did this in a way where it was like, you know, you really felt like you were at a show.
But I mean, there are a lot of bands right now doing virtual shows and stuff. Would Volbeat ever consider doing something like that?
I don't know. The thing that's weird with us is I'm in the States and I can't really go anywhere.
Yeah, I know. I guess you'd have to do one of those, like what you did with you did a Run DMC track, didn't you?
Oh, the Quarantine Jam. Yeah.
Yes. It would be I mean, something like that, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, anything and everything is possible. You know, we're just kind of playing it by ear. We don't know what's going to happen, really. You know what I mean? Everyone's just hoping that things get back to normal as soon as possible, obviously. So we'll see.
So let's get back to the beginning. You know, you talk about influences and stuff like that. How did this journey start for you with, you know, the guitar? And because I know you didn't start on the guitar first of all, did you?
When I was a kid, you mean? Yeah, I mean, I started on the guitar, but I also had
I thought you started on the drums.
Well, I was gonna say I also had a drum set. So I probably, the thing is, when I was like way young, when I was like 4 or 5 years old, I had this little red guitar that I was banging. I couldn't play. I was just, you know, doing my thing.
Bit like me.
So I always had a guitar, but it was around when I was, I guess, 8 or 9 that I started taking it seriously. And yeah, I remember just, you know, really being into the drums and spending a lot of time hitting those things. But I also, you know, it all kind of happened at the same time. I also had a guitar, and it was right around the time when I heard AC/DC's Back in Black and, you know, the first Van Halen record, and I got really just fell in love with music, and I think the AC/DC album really made me want to play guitar. You know, just listening to Angus Young, it just blew my mind, you know. And then shortly after I listened to, you know, I got Van Halen 1, and that was it for me. I was done. I was a guitar player.
So how old were you then? So you were about 9 or something?
Yeah, I was about 9-ish.
Okay. And so how did you learn though? Were you just learning by ear, or did you have a teacher?
It was mainly by ear. I had some lessons, you know, over the years, but it's never anything, you know, as far as that goes, I never really stuck with it. I never really got into the whole theory side of things.
But how do you know what the chords are called then and stuff?
I don't know. I mean, I have you know, a basic working knowledge of how it all works, and I can play a lot of stuff. Sometimes I don't know what it's called, but I don't really care what it's called. No. Play what I'm hearing in my head.
Just play it, yeah.
Yeah. So for me, that's the most important thing. A lot of people, a lot of musicians get caught up in theory and what's right or what's wrong, and for me, from what I've seen and experienced, it really gets in your way. It can really stifle you.
Oh my God, completely. When I was a kid, I learned how to play the saxophone, and I did grades and, you know, can read music and stuff, but I could never, ever play without a sheet in front of me, like a score. It completely restricted me playing. It was horrible.
Yeah. I mean, years ago, I went to Berkeley College of Music, and it was, going to a place like that, the best thing about it is just meeting other musicians to jam with and play with. The school is awesome. I mean, if you really want to apply yourself and you know, do that whole thing, it's great. I mean, everything's there. But for me, like, you know, sight reading and all that stuff, it just never really, it's just not one of the tools that I need for.
No. How long did you stay there the whole time then, or did you?
No, I didn't graduate. I was there for a bit, but, you know, I very rarely went to class. But the thing is, like,
rebel.
Yeah, at the time, I was one of a few rock guitar players in the school. It was a lot of jazz players, a lot of fusion players.
Okay.
So that it was predominantly that. So, like I said, I was just one of a handful of rock guitar players, and we were kind of a hot commodity. You know, I was getting called all the time to do recording sessions, because a school like Berkeley has a music production course and all this stuff, and there's amazing studios in the school, and a lot of those guys, you know, would part of their work is to actually record stuff and record different musicians and put bands together, and it's awesome. So I was always getting called to do that, you know, to record with different guys, and I was definitely part of the system in that way, you know.
Is that how you learned to produce?
No.
You just learned on the job?
No, producing is interesting. Well, I said earlier, I used to work at this music store in Yonkers, New York, called The Music Store, spelled with a Z. But I just always found recording studios and just gear in general very fascinating. So when I was way younger, a lot of times would work for, instead of getting a paycheck, I would work for gear. You know what I mean? I would just take certain pieces of gear home, and I put a little home rig together back then. It was like 8-ads and Tascam 88s or whatever they were called at the time. And yeah, I ended up just recording my own ideas, just learning how to do it, but learning how to do it like my way. Like I never really learned how to do it. You know, that basically led to recording, you know, other people's bands, like friends' band, local bands, or whatever. And it just kind of built from there, you know. And yeah, one thing led to another. Actually, I recorded the demo for my first band, Boiler Room, which is a New York, Brooklyn-based band. This is before I joined Anthrax and everything. But I recorded the demos for that record, and we ended up getting a big record deal off of those demos, and that's kind of what solidified that whole world for me, you know, as far as producing goes.
When you signed to Roadrunner?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah, it was cool. We put out a record, toured the world, and broke up immediately.
Well, you went on to bigger and better things, I guess, so that's all right. That's not too bad. So you mentioned Van Halen. What do you think of this whole debate that's going on at the moment? I don't know if you've seen it. Like everyone's saying, who do you prefer? What era do you prefer? Are you David Lee Roth or are you Sammy Hagar?
I like them both.
So
I have a funny story I'll tell you in a second, but I think the thing is with Sammy Hagar, I was a big fan of his stuff, his solo stuff, before he even joined Van Halen as a kid. I remember when
like Montrose and stuff like that. Did you like Montrose?
Yeah, but more so his solo stuff.
Okay.
You know, he was doing like at the time, I Can't Drive 55 was a big hit back in the day. I just thought he was great. I always loved his voice, and I thought he was a great guitar player too, which he is. But yeah, you know, back then I remember hearing the news that David Lee Roth left the band, and it was devastating because they were my favorite band at the time. But then I heard that Sammy was joining, and I was like, okay, this is still going to be great. But yeah, and then they put out that record, the 5150, and the sound definitely changed. But it wasn't, in my opinion, worse. It was just different, and it was awesome. He just has this feel good vibe in his voice, you know?
Yeah, you're right. It does.
It sounds like summertime.
And then I just love how the two of them sort of flip-flop in and out of the band, don't they now? So it's kind of like, yeah, I think they both work. Okay, so you're going to sit on the bridge with that one. You're not going to, you're on the fence. You're not going to name one or the other. Who's the best?
I can't name who's the best. But I have a funny story though. I'll tell you about Sammy. It involves Sammy Hagar.
Yeah.
Recently, it's a little over a year ago. We had a guy working for us that also worked for Van Halen back in the day, and he was friends with Sammy and whatever. And we were playing this festival. I forget where it was even, but Sammy's band, The Circle, was headlining one stage, and we were headlining another stage, and we were kind of overlapping in a way. So I couldn't watch their full set like I wanted to. But anyway, before the show, like in the dressing room, I told this guy, like, I really want to meet Sammy. I'm like a huge Van Halen fan. I never met those guys. He's like, oh, really? Cool. So anyway, Sammy was doing, he was doing like his video. He had a video crew with him.
Yeah.
Doing his show, whatever that show's called. And he comes blasting into our dressing room, full on, like Sammy Hagar on 10, right? with the camera crew and the whole thing. And I was like, holy shit. but the thing is, nobody else in the band knew who he was.
Really?
Well, Van Halen was never a big thing in Denmark, apparently. And they were like, who is this guy? Really?
With all the camera crew and like larger than life personality.
Of course. Yeah, it was really funny, actually.
What did Sammy do? Was he a bit shocked that they didn't know who he was?
He's the nicest guy. He really is. He really is awesome. And I ended up getting a chance to. I watched like three songs from the Circle. The way it worked out, I was able to take a golf cart over there to their stage, and I checked out a little bit of their show. And what I really didn't expect, Michael Anthony, he's in his band, the Circle. He came over and gave me a hug. He's like, I'm a huge Volbeat fan and all this stuff. And I was like, what? Is this really happening?